It was a very, very important part of coming to a college. Really, it was between UVA and Notre Dame for me because of the marching band. And I did not get into Notre Dame. And then the day after I got my rejection letter from Notre Dame, Mr. Pease called me and asked me if I wanted to join the marching band. And at that point, I felt so welcomed and really honored that I just felt like, okay, this is going to be a good decision for me. So that definitely kind of tipped me over to joining the marching band. I remember meeting Lauren Schmidt, and I remember meeting Mr. Cook at Days on the Lawn and summer orientation. And then my first real memory of the CMB is our first evening rehearsal as a band. And I came from Albemarle High School where the band was approximately 80 members, and I thought that was big. And then, you know, I walk in and I'm part of section of 30 Piccolos, and then just seeing that 280 piece band and that first note that we played, I was blown away just by the sheer sound and the power. And that was probably just one of the coolest memories that I've ever had of the marching band, was feeling that feeling of being in something really, really special. I almost wasn't in the marching band. I had thought that band camp started on one date, and the day that I thought it started on was 2 days later than it actually started on. So I wasn't packed, I wasn't ready at all, and I'm getting all these phone calls from Lauren, from Mr. Cook, and saying, Abby, where are you? Are you coming? You said that you committed, you signed that you submitted your form, where are you? And I'm like, oh my gosh, band camp is today. It's today. And literally, I packed my things in 30 minutes. Thank goodness I'm from Charlottesville, so my parents' house was literally right across the street from the DoubleTree. Thank goodness, because I was able to get there just in time for sectionals. I did not get cheered for in my entrance, which is, I'm sad, but also it's totally fine. And I didn't get to hear the speech where Mr. Pease said that this is like church camp but without the religion. So that joke was kind of lost on me throughout the entire week. But I was able to make it right into sectionals, and that was very anxiety inducing for me to have to pack up my things in 30 minutes and go. So that's something that not a lot of people know, but is just really funny to think back on. I would say that the CMB was very much at the center of my student experience. I was very much involved in the CMB, especially in my second year with being a section leader, but also I worked in the office, and so being a part of the office staff and seeing that behind the scenes work as well. But I felt like being a member of the CMB helped me in my academics, because, especially in the fall, because you realize you have a chunk of time that is specifically set aside 2 or 3 times a week for band, and you have all these classes which are rigorous that you have to fit in around that. So I felt like it helped me manage my time better than in the spring, when all of a sudden there's that free time and there's not those restrictions on my time. I felt like I would do better in the fall than I would in the spring. But the CMB has given me the best friends that I could ever have asked for, lifelong friends, which has been wonderful. And I wasn't involved in a lot of other extracurriculars, but I really kind of poured my heart and soul into the CMB, and I have just, again, had such wonderful friendships from that. Being a drum major in high school and then being a drum major in college are like night and day differences. Being a drum major in high school, it's all about kind of perfecting your technique and perfecting your show, working on one thing at the time, and like one thing for the whole season. And then being a college drum major, it's all about entertainment and being the energy, being the life of the band. If you screw up your conducting, no one's going to care as long as you're providing energy and making the band play louder. Whereas if you screwed up as a high school drum major in a competition, it was not so good. Both are great. I'm really glad that I had both experiences. I think that being a drum major in the Cavalier marching band was definitely a more fun, kind of energetic position to be in. I think I had always known that I wanted to try out for drum major as soon as I came into to the CMB. Seeing Jimmy Royston conduct Smooth in front of the whole band and seeing his energy and his enthusiasm, I looked up and I said, I want to do that. I want to do that. But I also knew that I didn't want to go for it right away. I knew that I needed to learn more. I needed to know more about the band and how it worked. And so that's why, okay, so I'll try out for section leader, and maybe, I think I applied for drill instructor too, just to try to get some leadership position in the band. And then it was just something that I wanted to do, that I wanted to be a part of. I loved being drum major in high school, and I loved watching them in my first and my second year, watching the drum majors perform and have so much fun, and so I just said that I wanted to do that. And I was not in any way expecting to get it the first time I tried out. It was more just, okay, I'm going to see what happens. If I don't get it, hopefully they'll still keep me as section leader, and then I'll try out again for my 4th year. But I feel very fortunate that I was able to have a 2-year term as drum major. The first round was also nerve-wracking because I had to come from a class. I had a late night discussion, and I didn't have a car, so I had to race over to U-Haul. I think it was like 8 o'clock on a Thursday or something like that. And it was very stressful. And I was nervous, but I also tried to put my nerves aside. And then when I got the second round I really enjoyed. I was so nervous. I think we had to conduct Take On Me. So that song, and I will always have a love-hate relationship because I think I completely memorized it. And I just ultimately tried to go up there and be myself. And I think it worked out. I was so relieved when it was over because I knew, I'd put all I had out there, and so whatever was going to happen was going to happen. But I just remember, I'm very glad I was fortunate enough to only have to go through that experience once. Meeting a lot of people outside my section, I think, was a great thing, and being able to get to know every first year as they came in was also really cool for me, especially seeing them around grounds and trying to make them feel welcome. The thing that sticks out the most for me, though, is getting to really know what happens behind the scenes and what it takes to, especially during band camp, for instance, what it takes to put on a show like band camp, because it does take a lot. And I really think that first year that I was drum major, it just totally opened my eyes to how much work those people do, and how much work the directors do, how much work the volunteers do, the grad assistants. I had heard about the work that was put in, but experiencing it myself was definitely something that opened my eyes. I did miss playing, but it was really cool because I got to know a lot of other sections. I'm still very loyal to the Piccolos, but it was very neat to get to know other sections and work with other sections. My first year's drum major with Matt and Shantira was very much a learning experience for me. They were veteran drum majors, so it was their second year doing it, whereas it was my first. And they did a great job of really kind of teaching me and showing me the ropes of being a Cavalier marching band drum major, because I was the only new person, but also letting me kind of have that freedom. And that first year I was very, I will say, scared and nervous. I felt like I wanted to do everything right and do everything perfectly, kind of like a high school drum major would. But, you know, they really encouraged me to kind of step out of my comfort zone and kind of step out of the box. But that first year was a really big learning experience for me, and to have two people like Matt and Shantira to be kind of my mentors for it was amazing. And then the next year, when I was the only returning person, and then helping out Nick and Hunter, who were two new drum majors, but who had also been drum majors in high school, and kind of trying to teach them, but also kind of let them make their own experience was really neat. But then, for me personally, I felt like I had a lot more confidence that year because I knew what I was doing, and I had a past experience that I could then build off of, and I felt like, again, I didn't have to do everything perfectly. If I messed up, you know, you mess up and then you just keep on going. But I had two very different but very special connections, I think, with the other drum majors in each of those years. Game day rehearsals were probably the most stressful rehearsals out of anything that I can remember, because as drum majors we would walk around and check with each section, is your whole section here, is your whole section here, this starting about 15 minutes before call time. And, you know, about 10 minutes before call time, if somebody was missing, we would try to get people to call them and call them and call them. And meanwhile, the directors are saying, well, who's here, who's missing, do you have everybody, how about your sections? And sometimes we would mark the wrong person that's here, or when they really weren't. And, you know, that stress of, please, 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 let everyone show up to rehearsal on time, dressed correctly, with their instrument and everything else. That was just like, oh my gosh, so nerve-wracking. Also, challenging times were times when we had to rush to get drill done, and just that sense of anxiety that we had over, there's no way we're going to get this show done. I think, in particular, the first game in the 2011 season, our show was Earth, Wind, and Fire, and we had the opener and the second number down, and I was conducting the third number, the closer, and we did not get to the drill until I think the Friday before the game. And that was the same day as the band building dedication and Paint the Town Orange. And so we're in that hour of practice, we were learning the drill for the next day, the show the next day. And I just remember internally being like, there's no way this is gonna happen. This is, you know, we're gonna try our best, but oh my gosh, where did all that time go that we had? So that was challenging. Band camp got challenging with planning all the evening activities, and you know, you get a point where you hit a wall and you're exhausted, but giving up or saying I need a break is just not really an option. So that, I think those are kind of like my challenging, the memories that I have that are the most challenging for me. I would probably vent in the drum major suite, or, you know, we would just kind of get out all of our emotions, or even sometimes I would just try to escape and take some time to myself, even for like 5 minutes. And but I would just try to remember why I'm here, why I wanted to be in this band. And in my fourth year, in my last year, I didn't want to ever get burnt out. So I just kind of had 3 things that kind of kept going through my head. Was 1, I love music, and that's kind of what helped me keep going. And 2, I love my school. I have great pride in my school. And 3, I love this band, like the people in it. So, and that sense of community. So if I just kind of went back to those three things, it helps kind of recenter me and say, okay, this band camp, this pain that you're feeling from band camp, this exhaustion, it's temporary. And also, especially in that fourth year, remembering that this is your last one. You don't have any more of these left. And even though it is exhausting, it's also exhilarating and fun and wonderful and hilarious at times. So those are kind of the things that helped me get through. With Mr. Itzier, he felt like more of a friend. You know, I obviously still respect him very much and did respect him when I was in the band. But we would have more kind of candid conversations about life and TV shows and things like that. Yeah, I felt like we had a very good kind of friendship relationship. With Mr. Cook, we also had a friendship, but also it was kind of more, it was very much a professor-student sort of relationship where, you know, he would often tell me about procedural things that needed to get done, and he and I would run through things and try to get through them. I've definitely had my my fair share of late night emails and phone calls from Mr. Cook, which has been really fun, but also there was an element of friendship in there too. And Mr. Pease is very much like a father figure. You know, someone who I greatly respect. I respect and admire all three of those directors. But Mr. Pease was like a father figure. And just, you know, asking me questions. You're getting enough sleep, right? You're taking care of yourself, aren't you? And just very concerned. And so 3 very different relationships, but just I'm glad that they were different.